broadcast, and, well, our ratings are about to go up. Christopher Smith, a.k.a. TopDawg, original TopDawg. Let's get the name right now. I can't believe, Chris, since you changed the handle, I wasn't even following you. How am I supposed to keep up on all these teams, all this prep football, if I'm not following original TopDawg? I mean,
I can only blame Nike for that. I don't want to go too far into it. I had a little run-in with Nike, and Twitter suspended or permanently suspended my account. So I had to change it. My new account, obviously, is at original TopDawg.
Yeah, see, and just when I start to get to need you, I figured that out. I can't believe it. But so what I was looking up was TopDawg's top 10. What I want to do with you, bring you in maybe on Thursdays with TopDawg.
Okay.
Take a look at the major games in the county each week. I mean, if anything, we're going to end up counting this down to maybe the Open Division Championship. I have some questions with your poll and how it matches up maybe with the media poll that came out this week and the computers. And I compiled, or I used a preseason poll that was given to the media that John Maffey canvassed the county coaches. I might even refer to that one a little bit because I think they had some interesting rankings. Maybe you'll be interested in them too, but we'll just cover it as we go down game by game. But after we go through this, what people might maybe, if we can catch some fire, we're going to have Christopher Smith's top 50 county players, TopDawg's watch list. You were giving them to us last night, and I said, hey, where can I see that? You said, you know what? You haven't released it yet. Well, I coaxed you into it right here on our show. So thanks, Chris, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Let's just start with your number one, the county number one, the media number one, the computer number one.
The overall consensus number one is San Diego, right? So La Costa Canyon Cathedral. This game's interesting to me last year. Obviously, I came out last year before the season, and I said the Cathedral was going to run the table and go undefeated. And the first game of the year, La Costa came out, punched them in the mouth, and they got the win. A lot of those seniors that are on this team this year remember that, and they don't like it. And they had this game circled on their calendars. I think Cathedral is focused. I think some of the distractions are no longer at Cathedral. No names mentioned. But with that said, I think this team goes out and handles business against La Costa Canyon tomorrow night, and Cathedral comes out with the win.
Yeah, Chris, La Costa Canyon was 8th in the media poll. I also included them towards that position in the poll. And but this really on paper, if you look at the computer rankings, this is a kind of a lopsided game. Maybe Ozzie Nichols, Aiden Lippert, and LCC can stay within the margin there. You hearing me, Chris?
Yeah. I don't know. I really think that Cathedral has they got a four-headed running back beast over there. I mean, you've got Lucky Sutton, you've got Matt Bryant, you've got Christian Hall, you've got Xavier Watson. I don't know. I think this one's gonna get a little bit out of hand. I think that Cathedral is going to run the ball some more. And I don't think La Costa Canyon has an answer. I mean, Ozzie's a great defensive player, probably the best linebacker in San Diego County. But that offensive line gets to the second level really quickly, really easily. And I just think Cathedral's too much for La Costa Canyon. So if I had to say a score right now, I'm probably going to say 35-14.
Yeah, we won't pin you down to it. And the computers had it much more than just a 35-14 margin. The computers, I guess we got to
It's a good thing computers don't play football games, right?
That's right. Well, that's why we have you for the eye test. But you won't need the eye test for this next one. No disrespect to the Barons, but the Saints, maybe you can just touch on their team a little bit. We'll talk about them more in the weeks to come. This is a completely lopsided game. But Saints, number 2 in your poll, number 2 in the media poll, number 2 in the computers. Tell us about this team this year.
The Saints are absolutely loaded. This year, the Saints come marching home. With that said, you've got Sammy Scaife, the senior wide receiver. You've got arguably the best corner in the county in Tyson McWilliams. You've got 2 quarterbacks, not one, but 2 quarterbacks in Colmonero and Peraza. You've got Byron Carwell, probably one of the best athletes in the entire county. Not to mention a defensive line, offensive line is averaging about 6'2", 280 across the board. And then you add in the tight end, Gronk, that nobody can tackle, Michael Ambexter. Listen, no disrespect to the Barons, the coaching staff down there. they got some good guys. I just think that St. Augustine has way too many weapons. They are far too loaded. I think this one could actually get ugly. I'm saying 52-7.
Yeah, and the computers have it much larger, a little bit larger than that even. So let's start to get into some really interesting matchups. Mission Hills, you're number 3. They were number 6 in the media poll. But I will tell you, the Palos Verdes Sea Kings coming in, the perennial champs from the Bay League, they are expected probably to be able to win this game against visiting Mission Hills. So Mission Hills, tell us about them. They got a big O-line. They've got Hadnot. But Palos Verdes at home, by the way, fans, this will be a 3 p.m. start at the Sea Kings place.
Listen, I've had a chance to spend some time with the quarterback, Jackson Oxney, in the offseason. And I'll tell you what, he reminds me a lot of a former Mission Hills quarterback and currently quarterback at the University of Indiana. And that's none other than Jack Tuttle, your Silver Pigskin winner from 2 years ago. The kid is poised. He makes good throws. He's great at reading the ball. And he's got some great playmakers out there in front of him. You mentioned Hadnot already, but I think one of the most underrated wide receivers in San Diego County. In my book, he's probably the number 10 overall player in the county, and that's none other than Joe Smith. I think they're going to be balanced because they moved Jason Boyle from the defensive side of the ball to the offensive side of the ball, have him run the ball. And there's another running back that not a lot of people in San Diego know about. It's a big, tall, skinny kid, but he's fast. And he's not just little fast. We had him clocked at, I think it was 4.71 laser in the 40. So Mission Hill is going to be very balanced this year. Their defense between Shiloh Sayao, arguably one of the best linebackers in the county, Mikhail Soto. I actually think they're going to knock off Palos Verdes. I don't think these guys are ready for that. And listen, I'm not going to bet against a Chris Hauser coach team. They're always disciplined. They're always focused, and they get the job done. I'm actually going to take Mission Hills in this one. I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I'm going to say 35-28. And I think a late turnover by the defense changes this game.
I appreciate an upset pick with our teams. The computer probably has Palos Verdes winning this one by about 2 scores. They return 3 skilled top players, including their quarterback. And take note of this, Chris. Madison will be watching this one. They're going to play the Sea Kings in a couple of weeks. All right. Well, I got to get your opinion on this one. This is our first look with you at an East County team. But boy, oh boy, the Lincoln Hornets. We know that they've had 2 key departures so far for 2 different reasons. But still, Lincoln loaded, Monte Vista. This is the post-Jamon era. But Ron Hamamoto facing his old team, kind of. Lincoln, I think, has beaten Monte Vista twice in 2 other meetings. Lincoln certainly favored in this one, but the computers have this one actually very, very close. You have Lincoln as your number 4. I certainly had him right there as well at number 4 in my vote this week.
Well, you know, when you lose a player of the caliber of Jamon McClendon, you simply can't replace a player like that. You know, congratulations to him and committing to UCLA and being out there for fall camp. With that said, Hamamoto is one of the winningest coaches in San Diego County history. He's very disciplined. He's got his team always, you know, ready to play for a big game. With that said, after seeing what Lincoln did to San Marcos at the Kickoff Classic, you know, for years, everybody said Lincoln's just a 7-on-7 team. Well, coaches, players, fans out there, let me tell you right now, don't say that anymore. This team is the real deal on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. They've got arguably one of the best secondaries in the last 10 to 15 years in San Diego County, if not one of the best ever to come out of San Diego County. That secondary is incredibly athletic. They've got a big defensive lineman that by the end of the year, everybody's going to know this kid's name. His name is Fontaine. The offensive line showed a lot of poise and a lot of strength last year and domination last week against San Marcos as well. I think they had 9 to 10 pancake blocks. The D-line for Lincoln last week had 8 sacks in the first half alone. With that said, Lincoln's got too many athletes across the entire board. I actually think this one gets kind of ugly. I'm going to say 42-0. They're not going to – Monte Vista's not getting the end zone against Lincoln's defense.
And we got our fill of the Hornets in the postseason when they came out and upset Granite Hills at Valley Stadium. Maybe it wasn't an upset looking back on it, of course, but Granite Hills.
I think East County sports would say that's an upset, but us city guys, nah, that's not an upset.
Well, I just said because the Eagles did have the home field advantage on that night. Chris, another East County team, but this one's on the way up. Huh? Cajon coming in. They beat Helix, of course, last year, 43-3, but that was with Jaden Daniels. Now, Cajon does have a transfer quarterback coming in from King High. They still had Rodney Robinson, and of course, Coach Rogers up there does a great job with that program. They've got a good defensive front, too, including Trayvon King, who had 11.5 sacks last year. The computers actually favor Helix in this one. And, well, we know we were out with the Helix last week, and we did get that news about Cameron Brown going to share time. I think Coach Owens gives Delshawn Traylor a break just to get him off the field. He prefers to do that on the offensive side. So maybe you can give me your perspective. You certainly follow this Helix club, and man, that I used that awesome graphic of Elion Noah on the story, and man, he's going to just have a big year.
Elion Noah is arguably the best player in San Diego County. I mean, if you looked at the KUSI's top 30 seniors list, he was number one. That's not a fluke. This kid has rushed for over 4,600 yards in 3 years on varsity, came up as a true freshman and started, and played with his older brother, who's now a linebacker at Boise State. With that said, I was a little unsure about this team coming out of the Helix team, that is, coming out of the USD tournament. The question mark for me was a quarterback. Now, the recent move, like you said, putting Cameron Brown under center, behind center, gives them a very different, interesting look. And I think this is the first time in the Owens era where I've seen him now starting to cater his offense to the type of athletes he has. In the past, it was stick to the scheme, stick to the scheme, stick to the scheme. This year, he's actually taking scheme and matching it to his players, which gives them an incredible wrinkle in the RPOs. I think Helix is simply too much with the RPO and misdirection that they're going to run between Delshawn, between Cameron with his speed, Jahari Hill, the 6-foot wide receiver they have, the freshman other running back that people don't even know about yet. He'll be there. I don't know if he's going to play, but he'll be there. And then you add in the best player in San Diego with Elion Noah. I see Helix actually putting this one away early. This is the game I will actually be at on tomorrow night. I actually am going to take Helix 42-7 and destroying Cajon in a
Revenge. Chris, what about Elion Noah's career path? We know he has over a dozen offers so far. Interestingly, he doesn't have one from Boise State yet. Maybe Zeke hasn't put in a good word for him with the coaching staff up there, but do you think more offers will come in? What do you see Elion doing eventually?
Well, you know, Elion's a different type of player. I actually don't think he'll be a running back in college. My opinion is he's probably going to be a safety in college. So I don't know that he fits what they do and the safeties they need at Boise State. I mean, you look last year, Boise State went out and took JL Skinner from Point Loma. They like tall, long safeties. I don't know. It's a question of should he go play with his brother? I don't know if he fits the scheme of defense that they're looking for. But I do think the kid's going to pick up more offers.
You mentioned the quarterback play of Helix in 7-on-7 ball and the fact that they are using, it looks like, two quarterbacks once again at Helix. Now, Delshawn really enjoys playing quarterback. What attracted him to Army was the fact that he was going to get a chance to compete for a quarterback job possibly at West Point, but certainly you have to think that he grades out in the future as an elite defensive back, a good Division I defensive back.
More, I would say safety more than a defensive back. I think you're probably going to move to the safety position as opposed to a DB.
Okay, great. And also I want to mention on Helix, I haven't talked about him too much yet, but the wide receiver coming in from Las Vegas, Keontae Scott, apparently has looked good in camp. So,
he's looked great in camp. And actually, I think he's a better DB than he is wide receiver, but that's just my opinion. What do I know?
Well, we're going to find out. Hopefully we get some info out of you this week. We'll have somebody at that game. I know I've got that game double covered. I made a TV hit up on the Inland Empire Media Group channel yesterday talking about that game. All right, Hart and Carlsbad. This one is in Carlsbad. Well, we know Hart has a legendary coach in Mike Harrington. He's approaching 300 victories. He has 297 right now, and their quarterback is senior Zach Johnson. He had a 500-yard passing game last season. He also had a 450-yard passing game in the playoffs, but Carlsbad, a big offensive line returning, and Cole Wright, the wide receiver. Carlsbad is expected to win this one by about 2 scores.
This time I'd actually probably have to agree with the computers. I mean, I got to go with Purple Rain. Carlsbad on this one. I'm going to take them. If I had to say a score right now, I'm going to say 21-7. I think the defense of Carlsbad is underrated, and I think they're going to show what they can do this game against that Hart team.
Chris, the Torrey Pines Falcons, can you believe we're getting down to some of these Avocado League teams that are predicted like 5th and 6th in the league race? And here it is, they're 7th and 9th in the county, respectively. That's just – and not only that, I mean, the Western League, if you go by all those rankings, are ranked even higher than the Avocado League. So,
well, it's no fluke. I mean, let's be candid about it now. People are starting to recognize the city conference, the 26 teams that make up the city conference, 5 CIF championships last year. That's more than any other conference combined. So if you think about that, 5 of the 6 CIF champions last year were from the city conference. 3 of those 5 came from one league, and that was the Western League. Now the question to you is, how many CIF championships did the Avocado League have last year? 0.
Shout out to our buddy here. Look at this feature of this software, Chris. I don't want to get too away from our program, but Roland says, TopDawg saying a hello to you. Hey, nobody's really watching us now. It's only Roland, but this show's going to be on later. When we get you in the chat, just post your comments and we can get them right there into the chat. Maybe we'll even get some interaction in the weeks to come, my friend. All right, let's continue on with these games. Los Al at number 7, Torrey Pines. Los Al, the Griffins were number 7 in the preseason Orange County rankings. Quarterback Cade McConnell, TD. He's a 2-time ACL recovery guy, and he's a good quarterback. I mean, and he shows the tenacity to come back from 2-time ACL surgery. And then also their freshman quarterback, get this, he's already been offered by Auburn, but this is going to be rated very, very close. The computers have Los Al slightly favored, but I think the home field is going to neutralize that. Tell me about those linebackers up there at Torrey Pines.
Well, let me start off with junior linebacker Marco Notriani. I think you saw him we did the Madden video. He was the kid that came out and said, I hit him so hard they're going to have snot bubbles. That's one of the greatest lines out there. With that said, nobody is coming into Torrey's house and making them pay rent. This is San Diego, and they're going to welcome them to San Diego with a loss. Torrey Pine's going to handle this one nicely. I'm saying 35-21.
Okay, and next up, another East County team, so I've got to have your opinion on this one. And, man, the computers kind of rate this one. If anything, this is where we're seeing it with this game, kind of different information. But Steel Canyon did make the top 10 in the media poll, number 8 in your rankings. They also were in there in my rankings as well. But Eastlake, they don't lose many football games under Coach McFadden. That's a proven fact. So, if anything, that's kind of the equalizer in this one. But what do you got for me on our matchup with the Cougars?
Well, I'll say a couple of names first of all. First of all, Coach Longerbone won a state title a couple years ago over at Steel Canyon. And ever since he made that run with the team he had, I've had a tremendous amount of respect for his ability to win big ball games. I don't think Steel Canyon overlooks this game. I think they've got incredible athletes, probably some of the best athletes in the East County between Wes Neely, Chance Johnson, and forget the kid's name now. Anyway.
I can start to go through them, but
my point is this: they are extremely athletic, and they're a matchup nightmare for teams like Eastlake. And let's face it, Eastlake lost McCurdy, which is probably their best defensive player last year. I don't know if that Eastlake defense is rebounded or going to be able to replace a player like McCurdy. I think Steel wins this one. I think it's going to be probably a little closer, but I'm going to say I think Steel ends up scoring 42 points on that defense. Eastlake manages to get 28. So 42-28, Steel Canyon.
That would be great offensive production. Right now, they were kind of deciding at quarterback still, but I think that they're going to go with a running game. But you probably were thinking of the great defensive back for Steel, Antoine Walker. But listen to some of these names, Chris, on Steel Canyon. This is what I talked about in their preseason preview. While some of the other teams, even in the East County, do have some Division I prospects, these guys are going to get some looks at four-year schools, maybe on a smaller level, but they really aren't receiving them yet. But when you're talking about guys on that team like Chris Carter, Chance Johnson.
That's who I was thinking of, was Chris Carter. That's who I was thinking of. That kid's a heck of a baller.
Antoine Walker, Junior Akintunde, Ulolo Samawata, Colton Guerrero, Cam Hewart.
They got some dudes.
They got and Wes, Anthony Littlejohn. They've got almost, if you took all the names of guys that you remember seeing have played on the field and have a little bit of track record, they probably outnumber every other team in the East County in terms of the number of players with success on the football field. Again, they're not being overlooked. I mean, they were ranked 10th by the media, and they're up there. So I mean, they're expected to compete, at the highest level. So it's not.
And Longerbone's going to have these guys ready for the big game.
Another county matchup you can help me with this one, probably San Marcos and Otay. And interestingly, San Marcos, they didn't make the media poll in the top 10. They were ranked 11th. You have them coming in at number 9. But Otay was in the media poll at number 15. So they're getting a lot of respect. Now, San Marcos on the surface might look like, they're coming from the Avocado League. We joked that, they're predicted 6th in the Avocado League, but still they're ranked number 9. Still, I think going to Otay really neutralizes this game. I mean, is this almost a coin flip?
No, I don't think so. I think that when San Marcos came to play last week, they got punched in the mouth, and they didn't like it. I know they're going to play with a large chip on their shoulder, and they feel like they have something to prove to the new head coach. They were pretty vanilla against Lincoln. I know they didn't want to put anything on film that Otay could use against them in game 1. Xavier Reese was out for that game as well against Lincoln, which I expect him back for the regular season opener. With that said, no, I think San Marcos is too much for him. I love the quarterback over there. That kid's got a strong arm. He's accurate, delivers the ball well. As long as San Marcos can protect the quarterback, I don't think there's a secondary down in the South Bay that can really stop him. So You've got Boehner, you've got Reese, you've got goodness gracious, the kid from Corona Centennial.
You got to help me out on this one. I will just say, I'll ask you this, Chris, and maybe it'll jaw your brain, but does San Marcos have the best group of wide receivers in the county?
No, I wouldn't say best group of wide receivers. They got good wide receivers, don't get me wrong, but I don't think there's one group that stands above anybody else, and there's probably 3 groups of wide receivers that are either really, really close or about even. So with that said, I mean, with Gavin Cervini, between Cervini, Boehner, and Reese, I think it's too much offense for the Broncos to handle. I don't think you stop all 3 of them. I'm going to say San Marcos wins this one 35-24.
So you see the San Marcos quarterback, though, growing. He's young, but it really helps to have quality receivers, and you see him progressing.
Absolutely.
Okay, San Clemente. Chris, welcome back, Oceanside Pirates. Okay, hey,
everybody in Oceanside. First of all, let me just say, the Oceanside community has not been a fan of mine since the Oceanside Rancho Bernardo game, I think in like 3 years ago. Now, with that said, I had to give Oceanside some respect of what they went out there and did. They proved to me that they belong in the conversation. Now, are they a bubble team? They're sitting at number 10. But to me, what that means is you guys have something to prove to the entire county. Can you play with a chip on your shoulder? And I guarantee you this. If San Clemente comes in there and you beat them, you don't stay at 10. You're going to go up on that poll. With that said, San Clemente is a very powerhouse program up in the Orange County. I don't know that Oceanside has enough athletes to take down San Clemente. So I'm not challenging the Pirates. I'm not saying they're not good. I'm just saying that this is going to be a game where one of those that you're going to have to play 4 quarters of football and stay extremely focused in order to beat this team. I don't know that you can do that. This is the only one I got to take a team from out of town and say I think San Clemente is a little too much for Oceanside.
Well, I'll mention a few pieces of information on the game. San Clemente won last year 34-19. Of course, the Tritons were the South Coast League champs. But in reading up a little bit on this game from the perspective of the papers up there, I say the papers, I mean the internet, but you know what I mean, those news organizations, they say that they are expected to decline a little bit. But I just think it's great that the Oceanside, being a Highlander, I don't think it's that great that Oceanside might be back, but I think it's great that they were number 10 in your poll, number 9 in the media poll. So I think they're getting the respect. Maffey said in his poll comment that they've regained their championship swagger. And that's
I don't know. That might be a little bit of a stretch yet. I'm not ready to hand them a trophy yet. I still think they have something to prove to me.
Well, Kavika Tua and Chris Lai, great ball players that people already know about. So
Kavika is a great ball player, but he's even a better person.
Well, I don't, want to go spilling the beans on this list. I heard some of the names last night, and I don't care how long it takes. I'd like to hear every name that you have on that watch list. Maybe I can comment, but it might take a few minutes. So I don't know. Maybe if you have anything on my East County guys, I can tell you what I think.
Okay. Let me start. Let me first off say that this was a very, very hard list to compile. And I'm not like everybody else. Number one, tremendous respect to KUSI and the Prep Pigskin Report for putting out their top 30 list. Obviously, there were quite a few people that voted in that, and they came up with their list. With that said, this is Chris Smith, aka TopDawg. This is my list, how I see things. These are my opinions only. If you want to DM me and say, "Oh, hashtag you sleeping on me," go for it. I make myself available to the public because I feel like I'm here for the kids, for the coaches, for the community. So, with that said, I know I said it was a top 40, top 50, but I'm going to start off with some honorable mentions of guys I think that are right there on the bubble that could have been either way. So we'll start off with honorable mentions. This is probably the only freshman that makes my list this year, and that is Trey Edwards from Mater Dei, linebacker / running back. We'll go to St. Augustine's quarterback, the transfer Richie Comanero from St. Augustine. One of my favorite players in San Diego. Unfortunately, he's injured right now. That's safety for San Marcos, Maverick Martin. Gavin Trevani, another San Marcos wide receiver. A running back from Lincoln, Kenneth Stevenson. Love the way that kid plays. Love the way he hits the hole, runs hard. He's very physical. Now, with that said, let's move on to the top 54. It's a weird number, but, it's my list.
I'd like to change the graphic.
So we're going to start off at number 54 with a kid who played on JV last year. And I saw this kid run track in the offseason, and my goodness, he's a body. This kid is huge. That's none other than running back from Cathedral, Lucky Sutton. He's my number 54 player on the list. We're going to go all the way up north to another running back in Orange Glen. I'm taking Kyle Peterson at 53. We're going to bring a little bit further south and go to the Green and White School there in Poway. I'm going to take running back Josh Butler at 52. We're going to go west from there over the 52, over to, it's a 56, I believe it is. We're going to head over to Carlsbad, and I'm taking offensive lineman in Jonathan Harrison. So Jonathan Harrison is my 51. We're going to go all the way out to the East County to a kid I think you might know. It's an offensive lineman. Any guesses?
Carson File.
Carson File. Love that kid. He's violent, attacks the ball. You know what I love most about him? He's a great person, and he's got great grades. He's got a 4.4 GPA. Gets it done on the football field and in the classroom. And in my book, what do I care about? Grades, character, and football. Those matter to me.
I didn't know that, by the way. I was privy to the list. I just kind of put 2 and 2 together. You said lineman, and there's a few elite linemen here, but he seemed like a guy who could qualify. Carson Fale.
Yep, I do. I like Carson a lot. Now, let's go back up north a little bit. I'm going to take a running back from Mount Carmel, and that's Ty Virgin. I think Ty Virgin comes in at 49. We're going to go to your neck of the woods and take an East County quarterback. Any guesses who that might be?
Is it Wick?
Nope. We're going to take Jamie Odom from Grossmont at 48. All the way up north on the west side of the 5, I'm going to take Oceanside running back Kavika Tua at 47. Coming down the 5, we're going to go to a private Catholic school and pick up a defensive back. Who do you think that might be?
Got to give it to me.
All right. Deshaun Swafford. Deshaun Swafford is number 46 on my list. Head across the 56 west to Mira Mesa. Then I'm going to take up a safety / running back, Elijah Thomas, at 45. Coming in at 44, I'm taking a Steel Canyon running back. Who might that be?
That's my man, Wesley Neely.
Wes Neely. Good call, Coach. All right, let's go way up north. This time we're going to stay near the 15 freeway, going a little bit west in Milkland, and we're going to take quarterback Jackson Oxney from Mission Hills at 43. Coming down the 5, we're going to stop over to Toryland. I'm taking a linebacker, Marco Notriani, at 42. Going down to the city now, we're going to take a Kearney transfer, former Helix Highlander, who's a corner. Any guesses?
Who's that?
That's right. That's Olan
Olan
Kazad.
Kazad.
Transfer to Kearney. We're going to take him at 41.
Yes.
Now, the only Helix linebacker to make my list at number 40, he's an outside backer. I love the way the kid moves, and I love his grades, and I love his attitude. Who am I talking about?
Well, I know that Fletcher is moving from down lineman to linebacker, so
that's it. Good guess. It's Jeremiah Fletcher. So from Helix, we're going to go way back up to Oceanside. I'm going to take a DB over at Oceanside. Who do you think that might be?
You got to tell me these.
All right. Jalen Moncrief comes in at 39.
Okay.
Now, close. He played for me, and I love the kid. He's a safety and he's a running back, plays for Madison. I'm taking Herman's. Wait. Nope, I'm skipping that one. Hold that thought. We're going to go to a safety, linebacker, running back from Mission Hills, and Jason Boyle at 38. At 36, this young man is a phenomenal athlete. They got reclassified, so he's going to be a junior, so he kind of falls down on my list a little bit. He's going to have 5 years to play 4 years or something like that. I don't quite understand how that works. That's Lincoln's DB, Keyshawn Ford. He comes in at number 36. Going to go up the 15 freeway again to one of my favorite linemen and even better people, and that's going to be Noah Arce, the offensive lineman from Mission Hills. Coming down the 5, we're going to stop at Cathedral at number 34 and take an offensive lineman, Holden Bronson, as number 34. Going back up to 15, and we're going to take a defensive interior lineman. Love the way this kid plays. He's got a famous last name. His uncle was a great linebacker for the San Diego Chargers. Any idea who this D lineman is?
I can't wait to find out.
Shiloh Sayal.
Oh, of course.
If you're a Sayal and you play football, you got to be good. It's like it's in your DNA. Shiloh's a hell of an interior D lineman. Love the kid. Love his motor. He sheds blocks, gets to quarterbacks. This year, I think he's actually going to play two ways, both offensive line and defensive line. Love the way Shiloh plays. I'm taking Shiloh at 33. At 32, coming off a sophomore campaign, entering into his junior year, so we got 2 more years to watch him this year and next year. That's a safety running back close to my heart. That is Herman Smith. I'm going to take Herman Smith at number 32. We're just outside the top 30. All right. So at 31, I'm taking LCC's quarterback, Marshall Euchre, at 31. Now, starting in the top 30, we're going to go down south for my first South player. That is safety / DB / wide receiver / this dude will do anything you ask him to do. And that's none other than Anthony Gilpin. Anthony Gilpin comes in at number 30. 29, I'm taking the San Marcos wide receiver, cornerback, Xavion Reese at 29. At 28, I'm taking last year's San Diego passing leader from University City, quarterback Gunnar Gray at 28. He may be injured right now, but I'm really big on this wide receiver. He goes to a private Catholic school in La Jolla, and that's none other than Bishop's wide receiver, Clay Petrie. Clay Petrie comes in at 27. At 26, I'm taking a running back from Vista. I've watched this kid for 4 years, and this is it. This is his final year. I'm taking Desmond Tua at 26. So we're just outside the top 25, and now's when it really starts getting interesting. And let me predicate this by saying that the difference between 1 and 25 is very, very, very small. There's not a big difference between the top 5 guys, top 10 guys, top 15 guys. So when you really consider yourself a top 25 player in San Diego County out of 7,000 football players, doesn't matter if you're 25 or 5, you're in the top 25 in the entire county, which means typically you're a Division I prospect. So with that said, number 25, he's still been trying to tackle El Elyon since last CIF championship, and that's linebacker Connor Heffler. Connor Heffler comes in at number 25. A kid you might recognize, a wide receiver out of Steel Canyon, Chris Carter at 24. At 23 is a linebacker from Mission Hills, a sophomore entering his junior year, and that's none other than Mikhail Soto. Mikhail Soto is at 23. At 22, I'm going to take Lincoln, the transfer to Lincoln. That is Darius De Los Reyes at 22. At 21, even at 21, I still think this young man has the potential to be the defensive player of the year in the entire county. This may shock some people when I say this, but I'm taking Lincoln linebacker Marquise Allen Patman at number 21. Now, we're headed to the top 20. At number 20, one of my favorite kids, love this guy, C-Free, none other than Bishop's wide receiver, Clarence Freeman. Clarence Freeman at 20. Cathedral quarterback, DJ Ralph, comes in at number 20, at number 19. Number 19, DJ Ralph. At 18, San Diego's got a very talented running back, and he's probably going to have to carry that entire team this year. And that's none other than San Diego's running back, Mo Jackson. Love Mo. Great kid. At number 17 is a Poway running back, slot receiver, slash defensive back, slash athlete, Vance Jefferson at 17. At 16, arguably the best tight end in San Diego County, and that's the Saintsman, Michael Ambexter. Ambexter sits at number 16. Now we start our top 15. At number 15, from Steel Canyon, a wide receiver,
Chance Johnson.
Chance Johnson. Good call. Chance Johnson comes in at number 15 for me. At 14, arguably going into his junior year, and the kid really, I think he's about 15 years old, but he already looks like a USC safety. That is St. Augustine running back, slash linebacker, slash athlete, slash grown man, Byron Cardwell. Byron Cardwell is sitting at 14. Just outside the top 10 is one of my favorite linebackers in San Diego. I got to see him this offseason with the Dream Chasers. This kid grew tremendously in his football knowledge and his mental toughness and his physical toughness on the football field. That is none other than linebacker from Cathedral, Devin Dye. At number 12, I got a safety slash quarterback from Helix. Who's that?
Delshawn Traylor.
Delshawn Traylor, Mr. America, Captain America, if you will. Delshawn is sitting at number 12 in my list. Number 11, this kid got sauce. Whether you call him Mighty Mouse or Ben 10, one thing is for sure. You better keep an eye on. That's the little slot receiver that transferred from Westview to Lincoln. Benjo O'Brien. Benjo O'Brien comes in at number 11. At number 10, he constantly produces in San Diego, and that is none other than Mission Hills wide receiver Joe Smith. Joe Smith is number 10. So, are you ready for the top 9? This is real, okay? At number 9, he's got a famous dad, plays linebacker for Cathedral. Jordan Allen is my number 9 player on my list. At number 8, San Marcos wide receiver DB Jalen Boehner is number 8 on my list. Number 7 is probably the best corner in San Diego. I had a recruiting coordinator from Oklahoma ask me who's the best corner in San Diego right now, and I told him it's St. Augustine cornerback Tyson McWilliams. He's long, he's fast, he's got great coverage. I think he'll be extremely successful at the next level. Number 6, one of the toughest, tenacious kids. He plays violent, he plays reckless. He's a running back, he's a DB. He takes receivers, throws them to the ground, and gets interceptions, and then he dislocates his elbow. Anyway, that's none other than Xavier Hamlin. I love the kid. He's my number 6 player. X-Man. Prayers up, X-Man. I want to see you back on that field soon. So, Xavier Hamlin is number 6 for me. We're going to go all the way up to 5 to a linebacker at LCC. Who's that?
Who you got?
Ozzie Nichols.
Ozzie, yeah.
Ozzie Nichols is my number 5 player on my list.
I think of the top guys.
Right? There you go. So, now let's go down to
number
4 on my list. That's a running back out of Madison. I'm taking Keontae Springs at number 4. At number 3, he's committed to Notre Dame, but I don't know if he's going to play football or lacrosse. I'm taking Tyler Buckner from Bishops at number 3. Number 2. Okay, now here's the drum roll. Who finishes top? Who finishes number 1, number 2 on my list?
Boy, don't be like Steve Harvey and give us the wrong one.
Oh, I won't. Number 2, running back from Helix, Elion Noah is my number 2 player in San Diego County, which means there only leaves one more spot. The number 1 player on TopDawg's watch list that's the most electrifying, most exciting, and I don't care what nobody says, nobody in San Diego can cover this kid. That's wide receiver from Lincoln, Keyshawn Smith. Keyshawn is my number 1 player on my 2019 TopDawg's watch list.
That was a great list. Thank you for reading all of those names. Take a deep breath.
Now, remember, this is an exclusive. You're the only person who's got this list.
I've got to, splice it out and send it out there so people can see this list, and then we'll get some reaction because you're going to get some.
Oh, man, hey, listen. I'm like Darth Vader, man. Everybody loves to hate the villain, and I'm okay with that.
No, I appreciate it. I think it's something special. We won't go maybe this long in the other shows, but call it our season preview, kind of, if you will. I don't know if you want to touch on any of those other things that we talked about with, the Avocado League and the Western League. And
I think I've said it all. I mean, I've been on multiple podcasts. I've been around the city. I've been talking about football for a few weeks. You've been watching my Twitter. I'm just going to say I think the city conference football is back. I absolutely believe in the city conference. I'm a city conference guy. 5 championships, baby. And until somebody else in San Diego does that, city league for life.
Well, we'll get together, I hope, again. And maybe if you update your poll each week, we can look at the matchups and just kind of whittle this down because, I have my concerns with the TopDawg top 10 because right now our Helix Highlanders are sitting outside of that elite open division Final Four. And I think that's the question facing the Highlanders is how they can get into that spot. But, you have Lincoln ranked high, and so does everybody else. I don't think there's any problem there with that part of your poll as well. So just looking forward to this. Christopher TopDawg Smith from KUSI and the Prep Pigskin Report. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ramon Scott, and see you next time.